All right, well, on behalf of the Independence Chamber of Commerce in the City of Independence, I want to welcome all of you to First Friday. We had no idea we would have this kind of response, but in typical Independence style, we are embracing great things that happen in our community. We set up for 120, and we're at 250 in here. So we're glad that you're here. Yes, that's a testament to our interest in healthcare. Before we get started, I want to thank our business sponsor. We always have a business sponsor for First Friday, and this month's business sponsor is Mercy Hospital. And what you need to know about our business sponsor, or if you want to be our business sponsor, is that our business sponsor is always someone a business that is a big supporter of independence and a big supporter of the Chamber of Commerce. And they also pay for breakfast. So if you are interested in being a business sponsor, you can let me know. But at this time, I want to give a round of applause to Mercy Hospital for being our business sponsor. We appreciate everything that they have done for our community over the many, many years of being in Independence. First Friday is a new event that we started back in October, and it's gone very well. Every month, we had consistently had about 40 people, and then here the last few months, we had 50 people, and last month we had 60, and this month I told you we have 250, so I expect to see all of you back here for First Friday to keep with the trend. I will go ahead and tell you, since it's on my mind, we will not have First Friday in July. We are kind of creatures of habit, and First Friday in July falls on July the 3rd, and because the Civic Center is closed, it's a holiday, and we will not change the time nor the location. We will be skipping First Friday in July and go straight to First Friday in August, and I will let you know about our sponsor at the end of today's program. So, First Friday is open to the public. All of you are always welcome to come, and it's an opportunity for us to get together as friends and meet new people and network, and most importantly, to listen and to learn and to ask questions about what's going on in our community. This morning, it is an opportunity for us to listen and learn and ask questions about what's going on in our community and our county regarding health care. I speak on behalf of the Chamber when I express our concern about our current situation, but we are ready to support and champion the future partnership, and we look forward to health care that will boost our economic activity and enhance our quality of life in Independence, Coffeyville, and Montgomery County. Before we get started, I always like to tell you a little bit about what's going on in the community, and since I have a captive audience, that's exactly what I'm going to do. There's always plenty going on around our community, and I could just tell you that we have flyers on the table over here, which we do, but we are filming today's event, and so for those of the community members that will be watching this on TV, saying go to the table and get a flyer is not going to be good enough. So let me tell you about what's going on in Independence. The Chamber always has a quarterly event called Celebrate Independence, and it too is open to the public. And I would encourage you all to get out if your schedules allow. We always meet on a quarterly basis. We'll be meeting again in September on the first Thursday of September, and we always celebrate. It's called Celebrate Independence, and we always celebrate something exciting and new and fun and something that we're proud of in our community. And yesterday we had Celebrate. We had a huge crowd of about 60 people. And we were celebrating agriculture, and it was a great luncheon event. And we heard from Michael Springer from Springer Family Foods, Mike O'Malley from O'Malley Equipment, and Nicole Small from 2S Land and Cattle. And they all talked about the importance of agriculture in our community. And I really want to express our appreciation for agriculture and all that they do to boost the economic activity. They're kind of the, as Mike was talking to me yesterday, the quiet driver of the economy in our community. So I want to extend an appreciation for agriculture in our community and invite you to September's Celebrate Independence, where we will be celebrating something new and different. I don't know what it is yet, but you're all welcome to come. Something else that has happened but is going to continue to happen, like Celebrate Independence, is our movie night. We had a huge movie night last Saturday. It was the Lego movie, and it was a result of the Roger Brooks Community Assessment. Many of you attended that assessment, and you heard all of the things that Roger talked about that we could do to enhance our already wonderful community and our thriving downtown, to drive traffic down there. He was encouraging us to do things to drive traffic in downtown Independence. So a couple of soccer dads got together on the soccer field after they had heard Roger Brooks' assessment and decided to make one of his suggestions a reality. And they partnered together, Aaron Heckman and Andy McLennan, a couple of great dads and community leaders got together and sponsored the first movie night. It was the Lego movie, and we had close to 250 people at movie night. And because it was such a huge success and such a gift to the community, we're going to continue to do that in downtown Independence. And right now our schedule is that we're going to do it on the last Saturday of every month. So kind of just put that in your memory and be ready for that. Tonight we have a big event. We have Zoo Brew. And 200 must be the special number around here today because I just talked to Julie Volker and we're at about 270 people to attend Zoo Brew. We're still selling tickets. When we got the committee together, we said, well, we hope to sell 200. And again, in typical Independence style, we are going to be printing more programs this afternoon at the Chamber because we're at 270 and expect it to grow. It's a fundraiser for Monkey Island. One of our community jewels is the park and the zoo, and we will be raising money to do renovations at Monkey Island and other zoo renovations. So if you're interested in attending a Zoo Brew tonight, there's a flyer over at the table. We have a wonderful summer musical theater, and Mark, your girls will be excited to attend that. It's a great show. It's coming up. Annie Kids will be starting on June the 12th for 3 days, and then Once on This Island Junior will start on the 26th, and that is all being held at the William Inge Theater out at Independence Community College. Also, we have Prairie Days, another community jewel, a national piece of tourism in our community and county, and that will be June the 13th. So get out and support Prairie Days. And we also have the Veterans Freedom Square are putting on a huge event in Independence on June the 20th. And that is going to be an event that will start around 10:30 with a parade coming through downtown. It will have ceremonies during the day, dinner, live auction. It's a fundraiser. It's an opportunity for the military and their families to get together for reunions, and it will end with a dance and live music, I believe, in the evening time. There are brochures on the table for that, and I encourage you to get out and support our veterans, our military, and their families as they come together, and they also come together to raise money so that we can have a memorial out in our park. So we ask that you support that event as well. I'm going to move along and tell you that there are flyers on that table. So if you want to take one of those flyers, put it on your company bulletin board, take it home, put it on your own personal bulletin board. But if you turn your program over, you're going to see that we printed off a great community calendar. And so you can take that home as well. That tells you everything that's going on that we know about for the next 3 months. If we've missed something, and we probably have, be sure and give us a call at the Chamber, and we will add it to the calendar, and we will keeping everyone informed in the community. Also on your table, a few housekeeping items. There are comment cards, and what we ask at First Friday is that before you leave or during the time that you write down on the comment cards ideas that you have for future First Fridays. So as you sit here and you think, oh, that would be a good idea to have them talk about next month, please jot it down, leave it on the table, and we pick those up and we use them in organizing and coordinating our next First Friday. I want to tell you that it is also a very relaxed event. It might feel like a formal affair, but First Friday is supposed to be a very relaxed and welcoming event. So with that, I want to tell you that I see more muffins, I see more fruit, there's coffee, and there's water, and the restrooms are right through the door, and you are always welcome to get up and get more to drink and eat as long as it's there. If you need to leave and get back to work, you just slip on out and have a great weekend. And I hope that you enjoy our presentation this morning. With that, I'm going to introduce all three of the gentlemen at one time. I will read their bios so that you know who they are and what they bring to the table, and then we will turn it over to them to make their presentations. We are filming this, and because we don't have plenty of microphones to pass around, what we're going to do is at the end, after all three of the gentlemen have spoken, at the end we'll take question and answer. And if you would, speak loudly, and then the gentleman will reiterate your question over the microphone so that the people that are listening to the presentation on TV will hear the question, and then they will answer that question. All right? So let's get started. I would like to introduce to you Kim Day. Kim Day has 40 years of healthcare experience in a variety of roles and in communities of many sizes. He started his career in Catholic healthcare with another large health system and joined Mercy in 2000 as Executive Vice President and Chief Financial Officer of Mercy's Springfield, Missouri-based operations. In 2009, Kim was named Regional President of Mercy's Central Communities and held that position until retiring from a full-time role with Mercy in March of 2013. Since then, he has taken on a variety of consulting assignments with Mercy, including serving as interim president in Hot Springs, Arkansas, and supporting the transition of Mercy Hospital to another sponsor, and more recently, providing leadership during a transitional period for Mercy's revenue management team. Currently, Kim resides in Kansas City with his wife, Carol. Please welcome Kim Day. Our next speaker will be Mark Woodring. Mark began his position as CEO of Coffeyville Regional Medical Center on May 18th. Welcome to the community. He previously served as an Associate Administrator of Operations at Truman Medical Centers and Executive Director of TMC's Hospital Hill Economic Development Corporation in Kansas City, where his leadership responsibilities included acute care hospital, a long-term care center, a community economic development initiatives. His prior leadership positions include CEO of Mercia Medical Center and Shelby County Medical Corporation in Harlem, Iowa, and Assistant Administrator of Keokuk Health Systems in his hometown of Keokuk, Iowa. And I can say that because I'm from Iowa too. He earned his doctorate in healthcare leadership from University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill, a master's degree in healthcare administration from the University of Iowa, and a bachelor's degree in risk management and insurance from Bradley University. He is a fellow of the American College of Healthcare Executives. Mark and his wife, Carrie, have 2 daughters, Jenna, 12, and Ashlyn, 5. Carrie and the girls will relocate from Kansas City to Montgomery County this summer. Welcome, Mark Woodring. And our last speaker is Neil Barkley. Neil Barkley is the chairman of the Coffeyville Regional Medical Center Board of Directors. Neil was raised on a dairy farm in Nebraska and received a bachelor's degree in chemical engineering from the University of Nebraska in 1980. He worked for Farmland Industries in Coffeyville until the plant was sold to Coffeyville Resources, and he currently serves as vice president and fertilizer facility manager. Neil and his wife, Nancy, moved to the area 16 years ago and live in the country near Elk City with their 7 dogs. They have 2 children and 3 grandchildren. Please help me welcome Neil Barkley. All right, it's time to start our program. So with that, I will welcome our first speaker, Kim Day. And I do want to mention that Jim Kelly is listed on your program, and you can see he's not here. He's doing his job in Topeka for us, so he could not be here with us this morning.
Well, Lisa, thank you very much. It's absolutely a pleasure to be here, I can tell you. I am trying to figure out, Lisa indicated that this environment is supposed to be very relaxed. I'm trying to figure out why I'm not feeling relaxed, but, other than that, I do appreciate the introductions, and also just want to start by thanking each and every one of you for coming out to this event today. It's pretty obvious that there's a lot of people that are really concerned about the healthcare future in this community. And I have to tell you, rightfully so. Mercy has been, as you know, in a discernment process now for well over a year, and that's a long time. That's a long time. There's been a lot of people that have had a lot of questions. I know there's people in the community that have wanted to understand the process and where we are and when are we going to make a decision. And you know, we understand that. I hope today, when we get through, I think that we are getting closer to finding some solutions that I truly believe will actually improve and enhance the way healthcare is provided here in Southeast Kansas. In the past 5 or 6 weeks, we have made tremendous progress in finding these solutions, and our interactions most recently with the transaction being considered with Coffeyville Regional Medical Center, the more and more that we are unfolding and trying to define exactly what that relationship will be, I have to tell you, the more excited we get every single day. So our agenda today is I'm going to actually start the conversation and we'll just briefly describe the discernment process and some of the things that have actually happened over the past 12 months and the things that have been considered. Then I'll bring on Mark Woodring, as Lisa indicated, the new CEO at Coffeyville. And Mark will actually begin painting a picture of what healthcare might look like in this new state. And as you bring these two organizations, when you start looking at Southeast Kansas and how do we best provide care, I can tell you our industry, and this, all I've ever done is healthcare, I can tell you our industry today is probably as challenged as I've seen in the 40 years that I've been in it. And I've been here in Independence now for about 5 weeks. And in my old role as regional president, Independence was part of my area of responsibility. So at that time, I had responsibility and did understand some of the challenges in Independence and in Southeast Kansas. But now that I've been here for 5 weeks and really digging in at the grassroots level and clearly getting an understanding of some of the issues that are happening every day here in Southeast Kansas as far as health risks, when we look at poverty levels that are present here in Southeast Kansas, all of when I look at health exchanges and what's going on in the state of Kansas and people getting access to Medicaid, all of these things are having a tremendous impact on providers of health care and our ability to be able to provide that care. And we are going to have to look at things differently on how we provide care. And I can just tell you, somebody mentioned earlier that, Labette was actually in the room today, and we're pleased to see that. The competition factor that used to be there in healthcare, particularly in rural healthcare, that model is no longer sustainable. It is today about collaboration and working together and figuring out how do we provide care. So I'm going to spend time talking about the discernment. Mark's going to talk about the future and the vision of where we might be going. And then Neil Barkley is going to get up and give you an update on the status of the conversations and the discussions and the letter of intent and some of the things where we are at with our conversations between Coffeyville Regional Medical Center and Mercy and Independence. And I want you to know, as we're going through this process, one thing that's really important is that we're also trying to work very close with all of the city officials, both in Independence and in Coffeyville, so that when we get said and done and we bring forward recommendations on what this solution might look like, we want to make sure that our city leaders are also supportive of where we're at. So that's the intent for our agenda today. See if I can make this thing work. First of all, when we talk about the discernment process, I can just tell you that the process has been going on now for about 15 months. Mercy has been in this community, as you can see, for a long time. The sisters came here in 1927. So the sisters there is a lot of history. I can tell you the discernment process has not been without a lot of emotion. Okay, both at the co-worker level as well as at the ministry level. The sisters have a very fond attachment to what goes on in Independence. They've been here a long time. I can tell you, as we're going through this process, and part of the reason this is taking so long is that we are trying to find a solution to solve it, to find a way to transition these services to somebody so that it is sustainable going forward. And as Mercy, we are going to be doing everything we can to make sure that this transition goes well. We have an obligation to do that. We want to do that. And Sister Ann Renee is also going to continue to live here. So it's going to be very important that we hand this off very well and we make sure that this happens well. Okay? When we look at the task force members, first of all, as I said, the task force started back in April of 2014. It's been going on now for about 14 months. The list on the screen there is the actual task force members. I have to tell you, I want to thank each and every one of them, and we have several of those task force members here in the audience today. I'm not going to point each of them out. You know who they are. They're on the slide here. But I can tell you, they have given a lot of time and effort. They have met just about every month for the last 14 months. I think they actually met 11 times over that 14-month period. And I wasn't actually on the task force initially, but I did have the opportunity to step back and read all the minutes, and we had very detailed minutes. I was able to, there was significant discussions and interaction back and forth on trying to find the right solution, okay? I can tell you that at the very beginning of the task force, Mr. Chuck Thaley, who at that time was Mercy's chairman of the board, he did come down to the first task force meeting, and the direction that he gave them was, look, something has to change. Healthcare here in Independence can't continue to be done the exact same way that it's been done before. He said we need to be creative, we need to find new solutions, new ways of doing it. He said nothing is off the table. He challenged the task force members, okay, to find a solution and then bring forward recommendations back to the Mercy Board. There were no preconceived ideas of what the solution was. And as a result of that, I mean, there's a lot of things a lot of options that had to be considered. As that task force, so first of all, when we look at the challenges, okay, when Chuck Thaley says life can't go on as it is today, there's a lot of things that are happening here. We are continuing to see significant outmigration of people leaving this community and going elsewhere for healthcare. One of the things when this is all said and done, we're going to have to continue to ask the community to support their local providers so that they can stay active in the community and we can be successful, okay? But we're continuing to see outmigration. Now, if there is outmigration, it also tells me there's something wrong. There's a reason that people are leaving. And we'll never, in a rural healthcare environment, be able to take care of all healthcare needs of all people. We can't do some of the tertiary, the higher end type services. But I can tell you, we have over 50% of the people leaving both either Coffeyville or Independence for care elsewhere outside of this region. And I can tell you that there's a large number of those individuals that if we do it right, that should be able to continue to get their care here. So outmigration has continued to be a problem. Our financial results have continued to deteriorate. You know, we have aging facilities. Everybody in this town knows that there are some old buildings over at Mercy, okay? We have some new buildings, but we have a couple of those buildings that have gotten extremely old on us. Mercy was going to have to put quite a bit of capital to figure out to either demolish those buildings, take them down, or to expand and do some of the things we needed to do. At the same time, we've also seen a fairly significant reduction in the reimbursement. Reimbursement in our industry is continuing to go down. And in a facility this size, the challenge you have, you can take a certain amount of costs out of the organization, but you can only take so much out and that before you start getting into the quality of care. And that's one thing we'll never do, is take costs out to the point where we're not providing quality of care. And we're also in an area where we're actually seeing a decline in overall population in this market. So just a couple, you know, it's not all about the numbers. I can tell you, these are just some key indicators that we watch. And one of the things that's interesting when you look at volume, okay, our discharges or admissions, when we look at our emergency room visits, if you look back over the past 5 years, they've stayed pretty static. They haven't changed dramatically. So there's a certain level of care that just automatically is going to happen here, and we've been able to retain and keep that pretty well. But you'll notice in our net patient revenue, that's the revenue that we have to run and manage the operations from. You know, we're down about $5 million in net revenue over the past 5 years. That's significant. We have taken costs out and tried to become more efficient, but we can't take it out to the level that we need to. Our operating margins, you can see in the last 2 years, we've lost 13%. But what really happens is that in the last 2 years, we've actually gone negative cash flow. And negative cash flow means you're not even generating enough earnings to cover your direct cost of providing the care. And once you start getting into negative cash flow, it clearly becomes recognizable that it's not sustainable. Mercy's tried to sustain it as long as we can, but that's why Mercy Board has just said, we've got to do something different. We can't just keep going on the way we're going. And that's really what's caused us to move forward with the discernment process. Now, so with that, as the discernment process started, the task force really had two pretty significant opportunities that they could look at. First one being a potential affiliation or relationship with St. John's out of Tulsa and Bartlesville. Okay? The second one, and at the same time, this opportunity was there, was a potential relationship or consolidation between Coffeyville Regional Medical Center and Independence. Okay? And Mercy chose, during the discernment process, to focus initially on the potential relationship with St. John's. We're a Catholic entity, that's our bias. We felt it was important that we pursue that opportunity first, and we did spend a fairly significant amount of time with discussions and interactions and trying to find out whether that relationship between St. John's, Bartlesville, and Mercy Independence could be brought together. And there's a lot of reasons for it, but basically, Ascension Health basically said, we, at this time, cannot continue to move down that path, and this transaction was not going to occur. That was disappointing, but only because we have these Catholic ties, and obviously we would have liked to have continued that history, okay? But at the same time that opportunity came forward to us, CRMC, or Coffeyville Regional Medical Center, had also reached out and told us, we are interested in talking with you and potentially doing something with you, okay? And so after that, discussions with Bartlesville and St. John's, we did come back and readdress and meet with Coffeyville Regional Medical Center and their board. And I have to tell you, since that day, in the past 5 or 6 weeks, the activity and the involvement and the things that are happening around that potential coming together, I'm coming in here every day pretty charged up. And I have to tell you, now that Mark Woodring's here, the new CEO, Mark and I, there's hardly a day that we're not spending 2 or 3 hours together going over various pieces, trying to figure out how do we best make this work. So that's what we're going to be talking about now, is the future and the vision and where this might go, okay? What I can tell you also, and just in the past 5 weeks, the collaboration and the interaction that's happening today, even before this transaction gets completed between Independence and CRMC, it's going on every day. We have shortage of nurses. We are now reaching out and asking CRMC if they have nurses that can come help us. We had a need for a surgeon one evening. They had their laundry one night break down. They brought their laundry over. We helped them with their laundry. We had some issues with some water issues the other day, and they had some distilled water. We needed some. So, and I can just tell you guys, 5 weeks ago, that was not happening. We were not picking up the phone and making those calls. It was truly a competitive environment. That's gone. It's gone. It's happening every day. It feels good. We lost our dietitian about 2 weeks ago. We're now reaching out to Coffeyville and say, hey, you guys have a dietitian. Should we be sharing a diet? There is all sorts of